Hi, everyone. It's Roland Kym here. It is December 16th. I can't believe that the year is coming to an end already. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, all the other wonderful celebrations out there. I wish you all the best with your family and friends. I want to talk to you about the Vancouver metro real estate market. And again, we know that everyone's situation is specific. So contact me if you have any questions for 2025 or goals or strategies you want to discuss. I'm always just a phone call away. All right, so last month we had 2181. So 2,181 transactions, which represented a 28.1% increase over the November of 2023. We are on track right now at around 76 transactions occurring a day, minus some seasonality. I'm estimating that December should be quite busy, where it might be around 2,000 transactions. Could be as much as 2,000, I believe, and that would represent a 50% increase in transactional sales versus December 2023. So that would be a pretty solid finish to 24. You can see here that October was 32% higher, November was 28% higher, and December is trending for even higher year over year. However, we're still off our 10-year averages. We'll talk about a little bit. If I'm calculating around a 2,000 transactional month of December, we'll finish the year in 2024 around 26,796 transactions, very similar to 2023. However, we're getting busier here at the tail end of 24, moving into 2025. And we'll talk a little bit more here in the slides ahead about other annual totals, because we are well under a 10-year average, you'll notice. All right, so around the province, you see the different real estate boards, bringing it back to Greater Vancouver. You see that, again, there was 2,181 transactions, representing a nearly 29% month-over-month increase in November. Prices are pretty level year over year. November 24 versus November 25 was less than 1% lower. Average price of an average home, if there is such a thing that you put it all together and cut it back up and bake a new home, would be 1,276,000 and change. When you're looking at seasonally adjusted sales, we can see that, again, as I mentioned, September, October, November, we started getting busier here. However, we're still off our 10-year average, which you can see is substantially above the area that we currently are. As far as listings available in the marketplace, we are, we're well above, not well above average, but we're certainly at slightly above our 10-year average for active listings in the marketplace. And so, really makes you ask yourself what's stopping you, if you're a buyer, of finding you the right home, because there are more listings out there typically, certainly versus sales happening, than there normally are. And what kind of a market are we in? Well, if we're looking at the typical calculation of what makes a balanced market, seller's market, or buyer's market, we're still in a balanced market. However, we are trending to be back in a seller's market in 2025. Base that on a sales to active listings ratio. That is what we're seeing in 2025. The average price, adjusted price in the province right now is around, what is that, $970,000. You can see here how the trend has been going up in the last 10 years. Nationally and provincially, our GDP is in the pooper. We're not doing that well. We have a very low real gross domestic growth, and we got a lot of headwinds coming up, especially with Donald Trump's fear right now out there about tariffs, and with the current state of the government and the spending. I just heard the budget today was $60 billion in debt versus a ceiling that we weren't going to go past of $40 billion. All that being said, we are seeing some real challenges in our gross domestic product growth, which is causing the government to, really focus on reducing the interest rates in the year ahead, as long as inflation remains low, because they require folks to transact real estate in order to have housing occur, and it generates revenue for the government. When we look at the BC economic outlook, it's not that solid. It projects 1.5% growth in the province in 24. In 25, it projects a 2.4. I mean, I would love to get more than that. I think that is currently being optimistic, and unemployment, I think, is being modest as well. I think the unemployment rate will be higher than that in 2025. So what's happening with our interest rates? Well, this was from several months ago. You can see all the different main banks and their calculations, their projections for where the rates would be. CIBC continues to do really, really well. They projected for that we'd be around 3.25% as we currently are, which is fantastic. And they're saying in a year's time, it's going to be in the low 2%. I certainly believe that. I believe 1 year from now, interest rates will be, could even break 2% depending how the economy does falter here in 2025. And so all that being said, after many, many interest rates going up a couple of years ago, then many sessions of remaining at the same interest rate, we are on a downward trajectory. And on that note, the downward trajectory will continue as long as inflation continues to remain in the 2% area. So we're about right here now. We're about, I guess, right here. This is late October 2024. We're at 3.25. Most banks are feeling, well, actually below that is the most recent projection that will be in the low 2%, not just 2.5%. And so that's where interest rates are going. There's recently been two different mortgage rule changes that are in effect since yesterday. So one, the cap on insured mortgages has increased from its previous 1 million cap to 1.5 million. With this change, it's possible to buy a primary residence now up to 1.5 million and not have to put 20% down. Minimum down payments are still in place at 5% of the first 500,000 and 10% of the balance. And you do not need to be a first-time home buyer to be eligible. Buyers will still have to pay mortgage insurance if they don't have 20% down of course, of the qualifying amount. And it does not apply for rentals. So, for example, if you have $1 million house purchase, minimum down payment is $75,000. Previously, it was $200,000. If you have a home purchase for $1,250,000, minimum down payment is $100,000. Previously, it was $250,000. And if you're slightly below 1.5 at 1,499, the down payment is 125,000 instead of the 300 that was required. Again, at 1.5 and above, it does go back to 20% down payment required. The other change that just took place yesterday is that we now have 30-year amortizations available on insured mortgages. Again, key for first-time home buyers or on brand new builds. Like pre-sales. So this is going to help increase the buying power of the first-time home buyer. It's allowing pre-approvals to increase by about 7% on what they can borrow. And, buyers will still need to pay mortgage insurance when they have less than 20% down. And it needs to be an owner-occupied or occupied by a direct family member that is not paying rent. Rentals do not apply. All right, when we're looking here at the different home sales over the last, let me move a slide here. I can't quite see it. All right. So the multiple listing service residential sales in BC are forecast to increase 2.6% to around 75,000 for the entire province. I think it's going to increase more than that, but let's go with that projection that the real estate board has come out with. It probably will be busier. That is looking forward to 2025 right over here. You can see 2021 was a very busy year, and we're just starting to get a little bit busier from our two slower years, 23 and 24. BC housing outlook, okay, as we mentioned there on the graph, we're finishing around 75,000 units sold this year, and we're seeing about a 13% increase is the projection from the BC housing outlook from the BC real estate board. I believe it's going to be busier than that, but point in case is that it's going to be a busy 2025. Lower Mainland, let's see, unit sales. So we've again finished around 27,000 transactions this year. As I mentioned, last year was closer to 26. And they're projecting around 32,000 transactions will take place in 2025, representing an 18.5 increase year over year from this year. So we are getting busier. The average sale price, again, for Metro Vancouver is just under 1.3. It's not going to go up a lot based on the BC Real Estate Association's projection. They only have it projected at a 1% growth, but I don't believe that's the case. I think we're going to see around 5 to 8% growth. Still not double digits that we usually see after a recoil and a rebound, but part of that is just people are really stretched. Interest rates are going to make it a lot more available for some folks to get into the market or some folks to borrow more, but we're not going to go crazy here in the upswing is my foresight. All right, talking about residential sales in Metro Vancouver over a 10-year sales history. It's pretty darn crazy. When you think back in 2014, there was so many less people in the province of BC and in Metro Vancouver. And yet in that year, there was 33,000 transactions in the Vancouver Real Estate Board. 2015 had 42,000, 16 had 39,000, 17 35, then we went down to 24, 25, 30, 44, which was that busy year in 2021 COVID. And then we started getting slower again because interest rates took off and got really tight here in 22, 23, and finishing in 24. The point in case is our 10-year average is more than 33,000 transactions should be taking place, if not more, annually in the greater Vancouver area, and that hasn't happened for quite a while. And so this is a very clear indicator that there's a lot of pent-up demand for transactions, for folks purchasing real estate, and I think we're going to see that in 2025. It's going to be a busy year. So in summary, provincial and federal economy are sluggish at best, and they face a lot more headwinds, not deadwinds, headwinds than positive tailwinds. High unemployment for BC and Canada versus what we typically see as a long-term trend, making a challenge. 2025, as we mentioned, is going to be a lot busier than the last few last few years in home sales. There'll be, vast amounts of migration and immigration to Vancouver. It is going to slow. Not sure what I wanted to say there. I guess in short, we have seen a reduction in the immigration projections. However, we've had quite a few years of very high immigration that's continuing to push the real estate demand. Interest rates will continue to go down as long as inflation stays in the target range. Interest rates might go below 2% by late 25, early 26. And I believe price rebound will be reserved and stay in the middle single digits between 4 to 8%. So plan your real estate accordingly. I'm here to help you. If you have any questions, you know where to find me, and go follow me on YouTube. Thank you very much.